neighborhoods can raise each other. You know, if your kid was over at, somebody else's parents' house, they had the same disciplinary rules as it would have been in your crib. You know, and if not, they called you. You know what I mean? You don't have that no more. You know, you got people in school now, these teachers saying, hey, this kid is this and this kid is that. And the parents want to defend the kid all day. But if you was put a body cam on them, you'll see how these kids act up. So I just think it's more discipline on the parents that they're just not doing. They're becoming their kids' friends instead of staying there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's more environment. It's more environment because we have to ask the question, what are we doing, and not being racial or biased, but what are we doing? A lot of times our environment encourages it more so than the parents do. So what are we doing different from those that are in other environments that encourage their kids to learn or to set goals more as far as going to college and buying houses and doing things like that in their early 20s, opposed to having kids and smoking weed or whatever else it is that they may do. A lot of people, especially our people, we will encourage more food stamps and welfare type of mentality than we do on the other side, to encourage those kids to go to college and to build strong families. We encourage them to do the opposite.
I think it's kind of both sides with that, but I think the important aspect that we miss a lot of times is the actual education component of it. Like, people so scared that if you teach your kids about something that they're going to go out and do it. Like, my 15-year-old daughter, she knows how a condom is supposed to go on. Because guess what? She's 15. What was I doing at 15? I can guarantee that, and like my man was saying earlier, everybody got iPhones and stuff, like the the levels of pornography, like in some of these middle and high schools, it is ridiculously incredible. So if you don't educate your own kids to where my daughter will come and ask me, hey, I heard this term. What is this? Something I wouldn't dare do ask either of my parents about, because all they saying is don't have sex till you married. Dude, I'm 15. What do you think I'm doing now? Like, we have to educate our kids so they will actually know and understand, what's actually out there, what's going on in the world. And as parents, you have to keep your ears to the street, because, my youngest daughter is 13. We went on a 3-day field trip with her 8th grade class. Man, some of these kids, I mean, they on the bus, on Pornhub. And I was like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you're on a freaking educational field trip. And they like, oh no, it just came up. It was a pop. Dude, come on. That ain't no pop up. I mean,
I was a substitute teacher for a minute at the high schools and stuff, and you can just see the mentality of a lot of these females. I mean, even when I go to the middle school, so you can tell it starts at home. But if you say the education part, which is very true, I would say it is not just on the teachers to educate our kids in certain fields, because you start growing hair in your body. Teenagers, breasts start coming in. Males, the voice get a little deeper and stuff like that. But they go to school, they learn whatever they learn in school, and they come home. Parents don't say a word about it. So instead of just, hey, what you doing science today? What you doing math today? Did you have your physical education? Did you talk about the human body or what's going on in it? So I think, because a lot of parents, especially black parents, you know how it go. Majority, not all, but majority, the kid come home from school, it's like, oh, get a snack, go in there and play your game, whatever the case is. It's like, damn, did you even ask if he had homework? And you got some families, I'm not saying it's just all to the weed aspect, but, some of them smoke weed right there in the living room and send their kids to the room, so it's like parents is not even involving themselves with their kids, you know what I'm saying? So then next thing you know, hey, did you eat? Just take a bath, or it's time to go to bed. So you just have basically from after school hours, or at least 5 to 8, to spend whatever time, whether it's 30 minutes to an hour with your kid about random conversations. Sit your families down, just all of them, no matter what age it is, and for like 30 minutes, just talk to them about random subjects, go-karts, Carowinds, sex, whatever the case is, to see what's on their mind too. And one thing I did learn being a substitute is that most parents, and they say a village, but most parents' kids don't talk to them the way they talk to another parent.
Mm-hmm.
They feel more easier to talk to another parent. So it's like if they got a best friend or whatever the case, talk to that parent and maybe have them bring up certain conversations. But it takes a unit for all of this. My daughter might not run to me first and say something to me that she told her mom first, but she might tell her aunt or her friend's mother something, before she even told us, because it's just easier to talk to other people, at certain times. So you just got to make sure that person that they could be learning from is on the same page as you.
Well, yeah, and the thing with that is that I was going to say a lot of people today, they don't have that village mentality. It's don't say nothing to my child mentality.
Right.
Right. Like I'm the type of parent, like people know my kids. If you see my kids, I post them on Facebook. Everybody knows them. If you see my kid out doing something, I encourage you to say something and let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be, well, you shouldn't say this to my kid or whatever. I would rather you be there to correct them because you're an adult in that situation than something happens. You know what I mean? And then I hate that because it's plenty of times, like, I will say something. Like, I won't say nothing like, to, like, hurt their feelings, or I would be a little harsher with my kids, but I would let them know, like, hey, I know your mom, I know your dad, like, they wouldn't want you out here doing nothing like this, like, because when you go out there as a child, anything, you represent your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they're going to say, well, if you're doing something and, well, they ain't raising them right, well, you don't really know what's going on.
But a lot of parents can sit there and say that they
don't want you to say nothing to the children. Like, it's, like, I don't mind. Please, by all means, say something.
Yeah, like it's my preference. If I see a teenage boy and his pants sagging, hey, put your pants up. Because I'm not saying, there's adults that sag, but it's like if you can't even tell a kid to put their pants up, you're not going to tell them to correct themselves doing something else.
Well, I think on the pulling the pants up deal, I think if we challenge their, well, I'll just say, Alice Clark would always say, you got to pull their mind up before you can tell them to pull their pants up. So, a lot of times if you tell somebody to pull, especially a young kid, to pull their pants up, if they're sagging anyway, they've already got some type of attitude. So, you get more flies with sugar than vinegar. And so, develop a relationship with that kid, and then tap into his mind. Then you can get him to pull his pants up. But just to go to somebody and say, hey man, pull your pants up. That kind of, to me, it's a kind of rough way to start off a conversation. But back to what my man was talking about with the young grandparents. That's why you have a lot of this, man, because the grandparents are out smoking weed, doing whatever they want to do. The grandparents are out, having drinks or talking about getting turned up on the weekend. And so the kids, they see that, man, and that's all they see. When they look at the videos, our culture, when you look at rap videos, or you look at a lot of movies that we're intrigued by, it breeds that type of mentality. And so you have to me, again, it goes back to the environment. I agree with the guy saying it takes a village to raise a child. I'm 52. I just turned 52 years old. I remember being 8, 9, 10 years old, and it wasn't nothing for somebody else's mother in the neighborhood to whoop your tail if you've done something wrong and send you home to get another beat when you got home. But now, kids, parents don't hardly whoop their own kids now, let alone want somebody else to whoop them. So, I think that's where we lost it. When we got away from that right there, is really where we lost it. Not only at home, we lost it in school, and we're losing it in the street. That's why our young black men are prime candidates for mass incarceration, is because they have to go down 2 or 3 times and do 8 to 10 bids before they finally get it. Mm-hmm. Then by the time you do that, you're caught up in the system, and you're in that revolving door now, so it's hard. Not saying you can't get out of it or break the cycle, but it just becomes that much harder. If we can grab a man when they're young and get them to listen, and like I said, develop that relationship, I think that's where it really becomes more effective to not even have to worry about encouraging males or females to not have sex, but you're talking on a whole another plane to where sex is not even an issue.
Hey, fellas, I want to interject something right here. What you just spoke about, my brother, about the grandparents and they're getting turned up, and it's a whole lot different. I'm 48 years old, and my grandmother's 91 years old, and she don't turn nothing up but the thermostat. Yeah, she turned up. That's how she turned up right now. But real talk, I think there's an element in there historically that is not addressed in our culture. When we were those that are 30 and 40 years old, when we had grandparents, you got to take into account that our grandparents, they were dying at 50 and 60 years old, and they were married to one mate. Nowadays, the average lifespan of a black woman is 85 years old, and a large demographic of our culture is actually being married for 20 years and then decide they want to get divorced, or somebody dies. And if a black woman lives longer than a black man, then she's got to live for 20 years with no mate. Yeah, grandma going to go out and get turned up. That wasn't the case when we were coming up, but it is the case now. So that plays a large part into, and I see it all the time. I see the pictures on Instagram where grandma, mama, and teenage daughter are out at the same club. And I'm like, what the Sam Hill? What sense does that make? But
well, my kids are going to the same club I'm going to. I know it's time for me to sit down.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I just witnessed it days ago. One of my homeboys passed away, man, and we just buried him a few days ago. And, you know, me being a minister but being a friend at the same time, you know, I'm hanging around. I know what it is, but it's been a while since I really hung around like that. And to look at the environment of the mother and the grandmother, or the mother of the daughter and the grandmother of the child, and they're out here pretty much doing the same thing, and the grandmother is handing the cycle to the mother, and it's just a matter of time before that grandbaby grows up and is old enough that mother hands the cycle down to the grandbaby. When does the cycle stop, and how do you stop it?
Right. Well, we got to want something more before we do something more.
Right.
And I think that's where it bottoms out in our community, that we have been sold a bill of goods, and that goes from the sex all the way down, from having sex at an early age. Literally, and I talk to a lot of youth, that literally we have been sold a bill of goods that we can't have any more than the only ticket out of the ghetto is athletics. The only ticket out of the hood is athletics or selling weed. We even sold that bill of goods, and it's passed down from the welfare generation to the welfare generation. But we don't believe that we can get anything more. We don't believe that we can be anything better than Jody. You know, baby boy. We have bought into that. Our videos say that. Our music say that. And it's been passed down through so many generations that the ideal of hope that Martin Luther King and some of the civic leaders in the 50s and the 60s actually aspired to when we had Black Wall Street, before that got burned down. All of those ideas are gone. They're 3 generations removed. And we don't celebrate. We don't celebrate the opportunity that exists, because we have more black CEOs than we ever have, but you don't see anything about it. And that's not what we celebrate on BET or on any other stations. And it's sad, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of my favorite rappers, man. Jay-Z is one of my favorite rappers, but I tell you, one of the lines that I just paraphrased, one of the lines